Kristen with Nerdette's NewsStand, and I want to talk about a little bit about the future of DC Comics, right? AT&T does now own them, but I have seen a lot of sensationalism or fake news when it comes to this, and don't get me wrong, I've talked about this in the past, where I thought that the 5th generation, the 5G, and that's what we're going to talk about today in the timeline, I thought it was a diversity push. It's okay to be wrong. I was wrong. I think this, we'll get into it. But what I thought was exactly what Marvel was doing with their Marvel Now initiative. I thought that it was going to go along the same lines. And it looks like right now, it's not. And it seems like when Bleeding Cool reported those things, it was to generate, people saying just thinking exactly what I was. To generate the buzz, right? So it looks like right now, we are finally going to start getting into these 5G things very soon. Now, what 5G is just the 5th generation. It is the future of DC Comics. Now, I'm going to talk about the timeline because the whole point of the different generations is to give a solid timeline to DC Comics, which I don't think it necessarily needs, but Dan Didio is going to do what Dan Didio wants to do. Now, let's talk about who is going to take over, and I've covered this before, and it's irritated people, but for this entirety of this video, I want you to remember one thing. All of this is temporary. This is an event. This is an event to sell books, to ask people what's going on, to upset people so much that they buy the books, and then when the real heroes come back, you're like, yes, I love this. That is what this is about. So let's look at this Bleeding Cool article. Now, anything from Rich Johnson, in my personal opinion, is BS. Take it with a grain of salt. But we are going to see Jonathan Kent. Now, this is talking about 5G. We'll get into the past stuff here in a minute. Jonathan Kent is Superman. Luke Fox, Batwing, will be Batman. Captain Cold Jr. will be the new Flash. Joe Million will be the new Green Lantern. Now, Joe Million, I will give it to DC for this one. The first 2 books from Far Sector, I couldn't get through. I read them, but it was painful. Now, you get into the 3rd issue, and you're like, I'm enjoying this. What happened? What switched over? So, Joe Million, as a temporary Green Lantern, I'm okay with. I actually am enjoying it at this point, and I never thought I would say this. When Far Sector first came out, I was like, my God, here we go again. But no, it really wasn't bad. So let's talk about what exactly is going to happen. Free Comic Book Day, I believe falls May 2nd. And their book this year is going to be called Generation Zero, which is subtitled Gods Among Us. And instantly, with that subtitle, I was thinking we were going to talk about maybe the Elseworlds, because Gods Among Us has a lot to do with injustice and stuff like that. But I don't think that's the case. So that will be free. They want to give it away free, so you're interested. And that is just basically going to be a special issue, restoring and re-emphasizing the idea that DC superhero universe has lasted decades, multiple generations, multiple characters, and we now know because of Wonder Woman 750 that Wonder Woman started this entirety of this timeline. It was just a short story at the end by Scott Snyder. It wasn't even something that was great, but it just started the ball rolling. So not only that, we'll get Wonder Woman, Alfred, we'll get the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott. Now, Alan was featured in that short story. It was kind of showing him that he was showing us that he was inspired by Wonder Woman. Now, there is some discrepancies, because if you read Doomsday Clock, you know that they were stating that the center of every universe, no matter which Earth or which multiverse it was, stemmed from Superman. Now we're getting kind of Wonder Woman be the beginning of this. Now what I think that is Jeff Johns and Dan Didio, this kind of clash, but I could be wrong. So as of right now, Wonder Woman is superhero number 1. So not only that, but within these 5 issues, we'll get answers to what character truly ushers in the dawn of superheroes, inspiring all the rest. Like I said, it is going to be Wonder Woman. Now they could change things, but as of right now, that is what we have. What is the real reason behind the Justice Society of America's retirement. Like, that's never really been made clear, at least to me. Now, I could be wrong, but it makes sense. It's a question people have. I often wondered that myself. But then again, you never know. So, what contentious alliance kept the Wayne family dynasty alive after Thomas and Martha's death? All of these questions will be answered and so much more. I believe each one of these are going to be 80 pages. Now, I will definitely be getting and reviewing each and every single one of them. I am very interested in this. Like, I like knowing just way too much about DC Comics, but I think this is a fascinating idea to have a linear timeline. Like, we know everything's kind of a mess, but now we know what happened first, second, third. So let's go through Generation 1, which will come out at the end of May. It is the first of these 5 issues. So it is going to have stories written by Brian Michael Bendis. A little scary there, but we'll see. Dan Jurgens, Andy Schmidt, Robert Venditti, who is fantastic. Hawkman's fantastic. Joshua Williamson has been doing great when it comes to Flash. Artist Doug Mackey, Brian Hitch, Mikhail Janin, Ivan Reyes, David Marquez, all of these people. Now, this will have, individual issues within it, so it'll be short stories, right? But it's going to give us the Age of Mysteries, and this is, like I said, it's going to have a lot to do with Wonder Woman being brought up, being the first superhero. So, then we will get Generation 2, which brings us into the age of the meta-human. So we're going to go into a lot of the meta-genes and stuff like that. Generation 3 is the age of crisis. Generation 4 is what we are currently in. So it is rebirth, right? So we're going to get, like I said, all of this is going to, at the end, create a timeline. And Generation 5 is called the Age of Tomorrow. Generation 5, 5G, if that makes sense. It is what to expect in the future. It is what is going to happen. So in the statement about the series, DC publisher Dan Didio, the Generation series of specials are built to bring a new DC timeline to life. I love it. With Generation 1, Age of Mysteries, and every subsequent volume will be shining a spotlight on the 80-plus year publishing history of the DC Universe while charting the course for a bright future of DC characters. All of our greatest stories and events will create the backdrop and context for the new adventures we have planned. Everything counts, and we guarantee there'll be surprises along the way. So I want to talk about not only that, but kind of what we're looking at now. What I think, and now, again, this is all going to be what I think. None of this is fact from here on out. You're going to have to take my opinion, or, of course, I encourage people to look it up themselves. What is going on right now in the Flash Forward, rather, Scott Lobdell, I love him. Now, we are seeing, basically, Flash trying to restore the timeline, trying to see what's going on. He's got, a battle with the Tempest. Now, the last Flash Forward was fantastic. I'm not even kidding. I love this series. We got to see him with his wife. We got to see him holding his children, and then our child, and then it was just ripped apart. So we see Tempest interrupt, and we are getting the Mobius chair. And if you remember the Mobius chair, it was basically Metron's chair, right? He is one of the new gods. So are we seeing Wally as a new god? I don't know yet, but it is going to have a lot to do with it. Now, he is going to also be able to use this chair, look into the past, the future, be able to fix things. So it's all going to tie together, it started with 750 from Wonder Woman. Now we've got Flash Forward. And then, don't forget something fantastic I have not talked about, but moving forward, we are getting Death Metal. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo looks absolutely fantastic, and all of the Death Metals will tie in with the generations. So we're going to get more information about the hyperdrive and stuff like that. So I think this is fantastic. Like, do I want my heroes taken over by these token characters? No, of course not. But just like Generation 2, 3, 4, and 5, it is temporary. There is nothing wrong with a temporary event. We're going to see the disappearance, say, of Bruce Wayne for a while, an explanation to why he was able to live so long, and I think that's got to do with the hyperdrive and stuff they're going to talk about. But at this point, we're not seeing any issues with it. It's not a diversity push. It's a push for sales, if you want to be perfectly honest. And I think it's smart. I love the idea of a timeline. That's the nerd in me, though. So, I think it's going to be really good. And I was completely against it from the beginning. Now, is AT&T losing DC Comics? Oh, God, no. Are you kidding? Like, that you can't really believe that narrative. Like, DC Comics is way too big. Like, they're not doing like they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Of course not. But it's still selling, or they wouldn't be able to pay their people. Like, that's a joke. I heard that and I was just like, you have to be fucking kidding me with this, right? Like, you can't really think this. This is temporary. And then we will see the return of our heroes. And don't forget, we always have Black Label books, which have been fantastic. Like, I can't complain about the Black Label books at all. Actually, I've been reading the YA labels, too, as far as Legacy and Shadow of the Batgirl go. And those have, I mean, obviously, they're not aimed towards me, but they're not bad. Like, they're pretty good. I read Shadow of the Batgirl about Cassandra Cain, and that Cassandra Cain story was better than the entirety of Birds of Prey. So, I don't see this being an issue, and I am going to keep up with it, so I'll let you know if I know anything else. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this, if you're behind 5G, if you think DC has lost it, or if you think I have. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star and Patreons. You guys literally make this channel possible. Black Knight Fool, Brucey, Chris C, Dave Ross, David L, Jeffrey Allen Carnes, Sanjuro, Jeremy Burtz, Joe Bustify, Kato Round, Magical Exotic Diamonds, Mighty Pauls, Mike Buckner, Robert, Steve Glasker, Timothy French, Ala's Matt Films, Alexander Trapp, Way Else One, and Troy Reiser. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like on the way out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.